Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Red Pill 78. Today, the General Flynn sentencing memorandum was released by the Mueller team, and it had some interesting things to say. A lot of things that we already know. General Flynn's a great guy. His character is impeccable. He has had a distinguished service. Nothing wrong with the guy. But it does go on to say that, he lied to them in many ways. Now, whether or not that's true, that's more or less not up for debate. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't lie. The FBI agents who questioned him did not think that he lied. But in the context of the Mueller investigation, he is being presented as someone who presented falsehoods to the Mueller team. Now, before me here on screen, I've got the Occulturalism account from Twitter. Somebody that I follow. Is a great person to watch for Q drops and for insights into what's going on in today's world. And I just wanted to pull it up because it's got some great stuff about Q and the General Flynn posts and the proofs that had come out earlier this fall. So here we got General Flynn standing in front of the flag when he was speaking. It was the same flag that Q had posted just a few days earlier. This is an amazing proof as far as I'm concerned. The fact that General Flynn is on stage with the exact same picture that Q posted just a week earlier. You can't get much better than that. Or can you? Let's take a look here. Oh, yeah, that's right. General Flynn signed this young lady's book, and he wrote, "Where we go one, we go all" in it. This is proof positive as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you guys feel the exact same way. This was a good one. Great proof right here. And then what else do we have? Oh, just some pictures of General Flynn. Phyllis Schlafly goes back to the fly, eagle, fly. In the Q post. Just General Flynn is a great guy. General Flynn's not a liar. General Flynn is a patriot. And in my opinion, what he's done within the bounds of the special counsel, he's done nothing but help our cause, and he's helped to bring about the downfall of certain people within the government, past administrations, and maybe even some sleeper cells in the current Trump administration. But here's the memorandum itself. I'll post a link to this so that you guys can download it and read it yourself if you want. But Mueller basically states in this sentencing guideline memorandum that General Flynn pleaded guilty to one count of making materially false statements to the FBI, which is, of course, in violation of 18 U.S.C., and the total amount of jail time that he could receive as a result of these charges is 0 to 6 months. Now, of course, they say that because of the character of General Flynn, what a good guy he is, that he shouldn't get any jail time, which, of course, he shouldn't. And they also say, this is interesting, that he has given substantial assistance and other considerations. All right, so what is that substantial assistance? Well, unfortunately, much of the juicy stuff in this memorandum is redacted. Now, not to fear, I think we're going to get to see it before too long. But he does say that there's insensitive information about ongoing investigations, and we'll get to that in a moment. But basically, it says that he lied about his conversations with the Russian ambassador. Now, the fact that they would try to pin this on General Flynn, it's just ridiculous. The job that he was going into meant that he would have to have necessary conversations with people in other governments, especially Russia, considering the tensions that we had with this past election, with all the fear-mongering that was going on. So it says during the presidential election, he was having conversations with somebody, and then he said he didn't have it. But, how often does that happen in government? Okay, you don't show your hand. The stuff that he was doing, they're trying to say that it was a violation of the Hatch Act, I believe. Let's see, where was it? He was speaking about Russian sanctions. And then they interviewed him on the 24th. He said that he didn't have conversations with him. Big deal. It wasn't like he was talking about anything but the safety and security of our nation. They were talking about a UN Security Council resolution. The Security Council, the UN, which should be kicked out of the U.S. as far as I'm concerned. We could put that land to much better use. They said, through his emissary, Russia's response to those requests, made material. Then he made a second set of false statements to the DOJ concerning his contacts with the Republic of Turkey. As far as I know, he had a contract for his private company to work with the country of Turkey. I've done work with many different companies over the years, and it is not unusual to have a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that you do not discuss the business that you did on behalf of someone, or you do not discuss the particulars of that individual's business. And when you're talking about entire countries, wow, it really would not surprise me if there was something that they had in writing saying that he could not say those things, and he should not be forced to say those things, especially when he's not doing anything nefarious with them. He was working essentially as a PR front for Turkey. All right, he got paid $530,000 for his work. Good on you, General Flynn. Not a problem. Okay, but this is the part that really got to me. The FARA filings omitted the material fact that officials for the Republic of Turkey provided supervision and direction over the Turkey project that his company did. At the time, the defendant was a national security advisor and surrogate for the Trump administration. A surrogate, but he was not in the Trump government because Trump wasn't elected yet. He was acting as a surrogate, but people in government hold many different hats all the time. Let's see, he's talking about national security issues, the defendant's business relationship with the Republic of Turkey, thus exactly the type of information FARA was designed to ensure. The purpose of FARA is to ensure the United States government and the United States people are informed of the identity of foreign entities, in this case a foreign government, behind information or propaganda being used to influence public opinion, policy, and laws. Now, the op-ed that he posted was in relation to a Turkish cleric who was living here that the government of Turkey and Erdogan said was behind the coup attempt that took place. So it wasn't like he was putting out information that was trying to really sway the opinion of the U.S. populace. But what really gets me here is that these violations that Mueller is talking about are exactly the violations that John and Tony Podesta committed for many years, all right, and that Paul Manafort was essentially somehow involved with because of his business dealings with Tony Podesta. And nothing's happened to him. You know, Tony shut down his company, but all he did was transfer everything over to somebody else, and they've got it running under a different name now. So here is the op-ed. I was talking about our ally. Turkey is in crisis and needs our support. Well, Turkey technically is an ally, all right? So the cleric's responsibility for the coup attempt, it says, was a subject of great debate, and the defendant's op-ed about the cleric's role was valuable to the Republic of Turkey's efforts to shape public opinion. Well, I really don't know how much public opinion it was going to shape because the people of the U.S. really had no say in the government's role and how they treated Turkey and interacted with them. And it wasn't like there was, people in the street milling about suggesting that we deport this guy, although this op-ed apparently made some sort of a case for that. So he go on to talk more about the failed coup attempt and Flynn's statements in regards to them. And then it goes on to talk about Flynn's character. The defendant's history and characteristics present mitigating and aggravating circumstances. As detailed in a previous report, the defendant's military and public service are exemplary. He served in the military for over 33 years, including 5 years of combat duty. He led the Defense Intelligence Agency and retired as a 3-star lieutenant general. The defendant's record of military and public service distinguish him from every other person who has been charged as part of the special counsel's investigation. But we need to hold our leaders to highest standards. Apparently not all of them, only a couple of them, because General Flynn has been the only major government leader, not even anybody in an active government. He was in the Obama administration, and he didn't get charged for anything then. He probably did everything exactly by the book. The only person in the Obama administration that did anything by the book. But it just says that based on all of these mitigating circumstances, he really shouldn't get any jail time. But that he accepted responsibility. So, of course, like I said, he's got great character. So we move on here to certificate of service. It just says that the information was given by the court to the individual. Now here's the addendum to the government's memorandum. Here's the significance and usefulness of the defendant's assistance. The defendant has assisted with several ongoing investigations. A criminal investigation of redacted. Who would that be? It's not Donald Trump, because the next line says the special counsel's office investigation concerning any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the presidential campaign of Donald Trump. And then one more. So there are two investigations that Flynn has been involved in helping. So what information does Flynn have? It's not Manafort, it's not Papadopoulos, it's not Carter Page. I think that it has got to have something to do with the Obama administration and people that were employed in that last administration. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of these individuals here was Tony Podesta or John Podesta. As part of his assistance with these investigations, the defendant participated in 19 interviews with the SCO or attorneys from the Department of Justice, provided documents and communications. Who would he have had documents and communications with? Obama. It's got to be people in the Obama administration. While this addendum seeks to provide a comprehensive description of the benefit of government thus far obtained from the defendant's substantial assistance, some of that benefit may not be fully realized at this time because the investigations in which he has provided assistance are ongoing. Part of the sealed indictments. I guarantee it. The defendant and the government agree that the sentencing at this time is nonetheless appropriate, and the sentence, again, recommendation was 0 jail time. And then this whole section is redacted. The redacted criminal investigation. The defendant has provided substantial assistance in a criminal investigation of redacted. Man, I cannot wait till we get to see underneath those black bars. And then they have an unredacted portion of into the office, special counsel's office of the investigation into Russian collusion. The defendant assisted the SCO's investigation on a range of issues, including interactions between individuals in the presidential transition team in Russia. Now, this portion, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this right here has to do with Jerry Corsi or maybe even Roger Stone, because we know that Mueller has had, let's say a fixation on those guys. I am pretty sure that Mueller sees them as the weakest links in Trump's transition team. And, it also makes it easy to go after them because they've got connections to other people in, let's say the alt media. Even though, personally, I believe that Alex Jones is a Mossad agent, or at least under the employ of the CIA and the Mossad. And first-hand information about the context and interactions between the transition team and Russian government officials. Now, let me ask everyone a question. If you've got a new government coming in and you have another country in this world that is supposed to be our biggest adversary, our biggest threat, would you not want members of that incoming government to have conversations with that country? Wouldn't you want them to ensure the safety and security of our people and our nation and our borders? It's ridiculous to think that these people in Trump's transition team were breaking the law in talking to Russia. Not even that they were. This whole investigation, it's starting to look to me like Mueller is maybe working to gather information so that it can be used to go and put these other people in jail. Because I can't believe it's taken this long for him to sentence Flynn. Now that they say that there's other ongoing investigations, it does make a little bit more sense because they were probably trying to get as much info out of him as possible. Let's see. Transition team on two sensitive matters. United Nations Security Council vote on a resolution calling for Israel to cease settlement activities in Palestinian territory and the Obama administration's imposition of sanctions and other measures on Russia for interfering in the 2016 election. Right. Don't believe it. But this part is interesting. The fact that they mention Israel, I wonder if it also might have something to do with Israel and Bibi Netanyahu. They just announced that in Israel, the government announced that they think that Bibi should come up on charges. I'm not saying he shouldn't. Seems to me like he's part of the global cabal of people that have been running things. That's just my opinion. And then we've got another large redacted section, another large redacted section, more redactions, and that's about it. It talks about the timeline of when he started giving information. There's some more redactions, and then it ends. Robert S. Mueller III. Well, I'd like to hear what everybody thinks. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to everybody who's coming over from Space Shot. Love you, Mike. Good guy. If you're watching this and you don't know who Space Shot 76 is, you need to go subscribe to his channel because he's a great friend. All right, everyone. Have a good night.